votes for I don't care. Votes for I'm confused. Do you care?
Okay, don't be ashamed.
Mark? Do you care? Which way do you vote?
What's the question? Stand at the camera.
We can continue doing the writing system that we started on last time, or we can start trying to translate the Babel text conceptually.
Say writing system.
Writing system?
Ooh.
Lips also.
Either of you
I suppose
care to break that?
the rich from the world.
You want to break that?
Sure.
What?
Writing
Writing system. Okay. In that case, I think you're the one who made the notes on the back of that? Or is that you or is that
It was preferably not me.
No, not you.
The other person.
Yeah, it's the other person. Do you mind writing that on the
Me?
stuff on the back?
Let's see. Can you write?
That's the
While you're at that, a comment about pragmatics. I have here a list of all the communists. No. I have two printouts of who is officially enrolled in this class and who is not. Stas in 98, Danielle, Yoon, Jalkun, Heather, William, and Mark are in 198. If your name isn't on here, you're not enrolled. And you'd better fix that by Friday. If you are on here, but you don't want to be taking this, that's you. Drop, because you're not going to drop after Friday. But you're probably not watching this video, right? So I guess you're screwed. That's how it goes. Oh, the other thing is, do any of you want to specifically take this class for 1 unit, not 2? No? 2 units? Do you know what that entails? There's a final
To
part.
the final part.
Yeah.
I think.
That's okay?
Yeah.
Good.
I was wondering, did you guys decide on if you're doing 46 or
This is,
Wednesday 4 to 5? So
no, this is the perpetual date.
4 to
Wednesday,
6.
4 to 6. I
Okay.
think that's what it says on the DE-Cal site.
Okay. I just remember there was like you guys were had a poll or something about it.
Yeah, there was. That didn't get decided.
Okay, just okay.
Would you mind making sure that the camera gets a decent shot of this? So last time, towards the end of the class, we actually got some decent work on the writing system done. So there's a couple ideas in this. For one, it's sort of fluid, probably vertically written, and it's flippable, at least partially. It's
Japanese.
yeah, please. So it's flippable in that you can reverse it on its vertical axis, but not necessarily on its horizontal. So, for example, the vowels on the left, you can flip to be for the curl to be facing the other way, and it can still be the same vowel. The other thing that's odd about it is the vowels. Each symbol of the vowels stands for one set of vowels, not for one vowel. And then within that set, you go fronter to have a more good emotional connotation to the word, and farther back to have
Everything
a
to the
worse
left of what you already have.
and
It'll all
presumably
come in.
there's various dialectically.
Just stay on the left side of the board.
So you can probably already imagine what the gangsta accent is going to sound like. They'll have nice back sounds, maybe gargles if they really want to. I think that starts to not become a vowel anymore. So can any of you figure out what that says on the left?
Sorry, I should have.
Have a seat. You're new, you get to get picked on. What do you think that says on the left? It's written top down. The symbols are always on the right. No
I
hiding.
have no idea. Sorry.
So this character, I'll just magnify it. Do you detect any resemblance between that and those things?
Looks like a
So, right. And what's this? Question. Yeah.
Oh, me?
Yes. It's a simple matching question. What does that look like from there?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
See this part right there? Okay. These are the symbols in the right hand. Leave that chair for me, but right somewhere over here. So which one of these does this chunk look like?
The one on the very right. I don't know.
Very right. Top right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was intended to be at least. So this equals R, this equals low, basically. Want to try to pronounce that?
Low vowel?
It's any low vowel, any of these.
Well, that.
What?
Is that are the children or like?
That is, actually, yeah, that should be a trill one in this case, but
Like
it stands for the phoneme.
Red? Red?
That. I think that's a little too high though. Ra, ra. Yeah. Drop your jaw all the way down. Ra, ra. Okay. The next one, let's try. So. What does this look like? Mark. If I don't call on my name again, please tell me what your name is, because I need to tell people.
So it's the K and then it goes into low vowel. So maybe like co or something.
What about this?
Oh, that?
Like, what if it were just a K low? What would that look like?
Oh wait, it wouldn't have that extra
Yeah.
thing there. That looks like the V.
The V.
Yeah, sort of.
Except that, remember the rule is you're allowed to flip
Yeah.
on the vertical axis but not on the horizontal. So if it were a V, it would be angled more like that,
Okay.
whereas this is more like that.
Oh, crow?
Yeah.
Or crew, or any.
Well, you're doing it relatively high.
Okay.
That's your jaw doesn't drop down very low. Drop. Take a yawn. And don't move your jaw back up and pronounce a vowel somewhere with your jaw that low, and you'll have a low vowel.
Okay.
Craw, craw. That's a low vowel. Craw. It's a very open one. This. What's your name again?
Heather.
Heather.
Sorry, my voice is still kind of gone from being sick, but,
That's okay.
okay, that looks like, it looks like at the top we've got the V symbol there. For the one for the palatal C, and the palatal,
Okay.
and then, I see the sound for ash in there over on the right. I mean, on the right of the symbol. And that looks like it's a mid-close vowel, so probably A or possibly A.
Yeah. So
So, shesh.
That's actually, was that supposed to curl all the way in or no? No, this is not curl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is a bit. If it were mid-close, it'd be something like
Okay.
that. Was that supposed to be ha or
It is, it's the word cash.
has?
Cash.
Yeah, what he said. Okay. What's your name? William. Okay. You could try moving it more centered.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now.
Or next to your chair. What's that say?
B?
What?
The B?
You know what that is?
Nah.
Do you know IPA at all?
Beta?
Actually,
Do you know IPA?
I don't
Actually,
think it
no.
has a tail. The one with the tail is the bilabial friction. I mean, the one that's almost a V, but not labiodental.
With a tail, it's a bilingual version.
Right, but I thought the one that we had proposed was B, which was the capital B without a tail. It's one of the weird ones. It's down here somewhere.
These are diacritics.
Right.
There's
I can't find it right now. Okay, never mind. Oh, that one, bilabial trill.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, that's my, the hell? Got a bunch of phonologists watching this and no one pointed this out.
I was sick.
Shame. Yeah, that should have been this all along, not, yeah. You're right, bonus points. So this is actually, I believe,
Yeah.
like in Spanish, valle,
Mhm.
but that's not this is the trill. So.
Is the B in between the swirl and the triangle? Or something else?
No. The swirl exits anywhere. No. It's just swirl.
And that bottom one is K.
Yay.
Something is wrong. No.
Should we have a button?
Should it have? I'm relying on a transcription I didn't make.
It should be soup.
Suk.
Yeah.
Suk.
I think that's supposed to be a circle in the middle of the center. So it's a sip and then not highlight.
Sorry?
It's supposed to be a circle, not just a spiral. It's supposed to be a circle with big from that,
Oh.
which would make it sip.
Oh, okay. But then where's the ooh?
That's the swirl. So it's circle, swirl, triangle.
That?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is actually this. And then that's what high.
Yeah.
In this case, would the swirl take off from the bottom of the triangle then? Or if
Uh,
it's soup, or, oh wait,
that would be
is
a
a separate word, correct?
You can take off wherever you like,
Okay.
as far as I can tell. Hello. Let's see. So I think we're relatively clear on how this is written. Yeah? Any questions? Yeah? No? Any desire to elaborate the system further, make it more complicated, make it more simpler? No?
I think it just wasn't nesting it was going to make things complicated.
How's that?
Well, we just had difficulty distinguishing bilabial trill from.
Oh,
plus high vowel.
Well, that was whoever wrote that fault, not unless he didn't have misread it.
No, he did.
Hmm.
But, yeah, that is a potential compound. There, we could leave it as a potential compound, or we could try to disambiguate it somehow. For example, you can require the to have an extra swirl, perhaps, or to be
How about if
initiated
you,
differently, or for that matter, the doesn't have a termination on the inside, it just starts with a little tail, whereas it starts with a terminal and then it goes into the vowel.
how about if you have a circle inside of a spiral, just don't connect them. So it'll be circle and then the spiral goes around it.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that would disambiguate it. Because then if you don't have a break
that
in
would
the
be
line,
a tse followed by a vowel. or
So followed by high vowel.
yeah.
Because the other potential confound is the top vowel, right?
Oh.
Maybe. Because the v is there and the top vowel is there. And this will effectively be that. So the only difference is the extra bit, right? So, and that for that matter could be another vowel. But it probably wouldn't be written like that. But who knows? Maybe. And then that gets confounded with the other vowel. But then you can just say that you don't have two vowels following each other. And that, make sure that never happens. But another thing is, do we want to have word breaks? I've drawn it with word breaks, but it doesn't necessarily have to. Not all languages do. Japanese doesn't. English does. Look how much it helps us. Well, actually, it helps us quite a bit. But that's because English orthography is so messed up. It needs the help. Any preferences on that?
I think it's easier to write if we do have them. We don't have to find ways to keep making one stroke.
If you do have breaks,
Yeah.
what if you make them optional?
No, that might make things even worse.
Yeah.
Like Japanese highly artistic calligraphy, where they just use one brush stroke to do the whole thing, and then you can only understand it if you're like a 10th degree monk. Or, well, not that bad, but if you really like art, it's not like that.
You could have a word break just be a really quick symbol you can interrupt in the line. Like you have the line, then you just do like a little tick, and then that starts another word. And then you don't have to break
Okay.
the line on the paper.
Potential confound is the R. Slightly. But you can do a vertical tick.
Yeah, or
That should, well,
like not an angle, I would just mean
Yeah.
like this little horizontal line. Like you're going down and then you go
and you
as a
break, you break the flow of your writing, like you're doing.
no, doing something kind of like that on one side without breaking the flow.
I think it just means a back and forth kind of job.
Yeah, back and forth as opposed to
That,
like a
and
carrot.
then that could be an R.
Yeah.
No, I mean that would like be an R, but that would be a word break.
Oh,
Or you could even just loop it or something.
Oh, yeah, leaf.
the loop could be a little vowel.
Oh, yeah.
Later on, do the dots, the eyes when you do cursive.
Oh. You do it at the end, the sideways eye.
Yeah, those are all viable. Any preferences for those?
Like
Do you like-
sideways eye,
Sideways eye
the dot.
with the dot? I see.
I'm kind of ambiguous on it.
Something else?
Yeah. I think it would be nice not to have to go back and have to research for where your word breaks are, as opposed to low vowels. But at the same time, we do need something different than the low vowel, differentiated from low vowel.
What if you make it say,
This is as in a row.
but then just say you never have two R's followed?
Disconnected from.
You put a loop on the other side.
Make
of
a little
that.
dash a little ways away from the line instead of.
Just flip it?
So you have a,
Oh, like a figure eight?
yeah.
That works.
Oh, good idea.
Dot it.
Huh, okay.
That's nice.
Opinions? That works.
I like that one.
I like that. That's
Yeah.
elegant.
Are you confused?
So just a little, sorry.
What about? You, right?
How would you know if you're gonna pronounce the high D or the TS sound on that one right there? Which one comes first?
The one that's earlier in the line.
In the what?
In the line.
In line?
Yeah.
Since we're not breaking our own.
So the TS was drawn first, therefore it's pronounced first. If it were the other way around, it would be like that. But I like the little. Okay, so that's out.
If you're going for one continuous line, if you repeated that word, how would you connect,
Which word?
like so thing, if you wrote that twice on top of each other, how would you connect it if that circle starts like not right at the top?
So the. You can do it there.
You need
And then you do the loop.
the word break. No, it's for the word break between
Oh, yeah, sorry.
them, right?
Well, she didn't say it was a word break.
Well, whether there is or not,
Oh, yeah.
how
Well, it would be.
that kind of distorts the vowel with it, so it's kind of, vowel.
Something like that. I don't have pretty handwriting in English either, so. And a decent calligrapher would make this pretty. Any other features of Wizard? Is there anything that is obviously missing? Punctuation, perhaps? Do we have punctuation?
Symbols
Don't
for
need
the
to raise our
other,
hand, just
symbols
say
for the other phonemes.
For the other phonemes?
Well, we have more than just.
What are we missing?
Well, I don't know, but there seems to be a lot more than just what, 7?
There were 20 altogether, I think.
Let's see if I can get an internet connection. Do any of you have it written down?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good.
Just from the first class.
Good, that's what we have. Adam.
Let's see.
If there's something that's not on the board, add it to the board.
We have 20. And then we added more when we did word creation.
Okay, so,
So we have,
Tom,
okay.
please.
Please let me know if I write it when we are done. Are we doing as the African, or are we just going to do it as a combination of T
I think it is the outline.
and? Okay.
Yeah.
maybe it's not much better than yours. Okay, I think that's about it.
It's
The rest of them are vowels. That's what they do.
This-
Oh, which one? This one?
Yes.
That's, it's in the back.
Yeah.
Velar or Uvular? Uvular, I think. It's one of the fricatives. I don't remember whether this is the first one or not.
Oh,
And I may have written it down wrong.
That's
voiced.
yours. Yeah.
It's which?
Voiced velar.
Oh, the voice Uvular, okay. But those are the ones I have written down.
So one obvious thing to wonder is, are the voiced ones going to look like the non-voiced? Right, so sh and s, do they look similar? What about the and the? Ka and k aren't exactly voiced and unvoiced, but they're similar. What about ra and je versus sh? Any opinion? What do you think, Ian?
I was not following right now.
Do you know what I just said?
I was busy helping the board, sorry.
Okay.
Can you repeat that?
The new ones that you just wrote down,
Yeah.
those are more sounds. From top to bottom, those are je, I can't pronounce it either.
Oh,
What he said. Ka, the, sh, and th.
Alright.
So we already have r, k, sh, h. I keep messing that one up. What is it again?
I think it's ship.
The one under the ash.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. S. And which is an odd collection of sounds, but that's okay. Should the new ones that sound similar to the old ones, like for example the ka versus the k, or the je versus the sh, which we have.
You like point when you say something?
Sure. Sh, je,
Alright.
k, ka. Should the symbol for that look similar to the symbol for that, or that to that, or that to that, or that to that? This is in the science class, incidentally.
I mean,
It's like
what does it matter? Like,
correct
if the should look like it, then what's the significance of that?
aesthetics. To
Sure.
make it pretty, or make it not pretty, or make it look different.
Go with pretty.
It's a question. It's a question of it's. This isn't the sort of class that has correct answers. This is more like an art class. We're just creating language instead of a sculpture. So I'm asking your opinion on the matter. What do
Go
you
for
think?
it, sure. I said should look like it.
How?
I don't know, maybe we could change like I don't know, maybe like fuse them together, make like a in-between symbol that looks similar to both of them.
Shelley?
You said these two have the same sounds or similar.
This I'll add an A. So that's ka. That's ka. Ka. Ka.
All that answers right.
Ka. Okay. Any opinions from the rest of you guys?
Like K plus,
Well, should we, that piece is the symbol we have for sound and then just the other IPA thing, isn't it? So it's not like putting the key
What
in there.
IPA thing?
like the K is the IPA and the little key looking thing is IPA, right? The symbols for that?
Yeah, that's just a style thing. It's just
Yeah, but that's,
Oh.
that uses.
That's
the-
just how she writes
That
it.
uses the symbol we picked for the K with the actual IPA of the Q.
Sure, whatever. That is just a Q.
Yeah.
Like, I write Qs. She just happens to write it.
Oh, I read my name.
Some people write it like, is that right?
Looks more like a G.
I think what she's trying to say is there was some alphabet for IPA.
No, like,
Look at the IPA symbol, it's just a symbol, right? Who cares? Theft is another grand tradition. Or, I mean, inspiration. Yeah, that's right, inspiration. What do you think?
I'm actually doing this, like, I was working on my own alphabet yesterday and I took this really far, actually.
Cool, what do you, Share, do tell. Did you base it on this?
No.
Okay.
Well, so all the velar consonants have the same form as each other. All the bilabial consonants have the same form as each other. All the
Okay.
etc. And so the difference between a T sound and a D sound is just that the D sound looks like the T sound but underlined to indicate voicing.
So it's a diacritic.
Yeah, and the difference between tha is that there's a vertical slash through it to indicate that it's fricative.
Okay.
And
You,
so
you,
tha,
you know that t and th aren't exactly.
yeah, but it's
But it doesn't.
it's
It
not
doesn't have to be
watertight.
Long A and short A in English, for example, among many others. Okay, so would you suggest using a diacritic then?
Well, the way we decided to write this doesn't really allow for them, does it? Or maybe
Well,
on the sides.
Diacritics would probably require either picking up the instrument or some sort of squiggle like the loop thing added to it. It actually reminds me sort of logic gates. You know, the little circle they add for not.
Mhm.
Any of you CS people?
Yeah.
That. Or that.
One's or the other's not.
Sorry, this is a really geeky reference for the rest of you. But no, we can add something similar. I mean, we already have the little circles are reservists, but
But if we did put in diacritics, we could have it on the sides, like
Yeah.
next. I mean,
Or
since
inside.
they connect vertically, we still have horizontal space.
we could, sure, we could, or for that matter, we could put it on the inside of the amendment. They all have insides, more or less, right? So, you could add a dot, for example, or a slash, or whatever, or cross them. Of course, that would require going back and dotting your chas. Or dotting your k's, as the case may be. What do you think, Mark?
I think we can go with it.
With what? Diacritics?
Why not?
Okay. Votes from the rest? Is that majority consensus or not?
That involves breaking from our writing
Yes, it does.
system, but
Unless there's a cleaner way to do it.
yeah, it is a cleaner way to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless you want to suggest a different method.
I'd rather just have them all be their own symbols. I mean, since we already have the bilabial click and the bilabial trill almost looking completely different from each other.
That is
The
That is
circle
actually
dominant.
true, and for that matter, we could merge them, since I think they are one phoneme, aren't they?
I think so. I don't, let's see.
Yeah.
They're one.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
this one just gets good. There. So now we have the symbol freed up. So I'm going to rearrange this over here so there's actually space.
Can you like write them together, like the voices and stuff, right
Sure.
next to each other, so you see it as well?
Wait, I'm confusing myself. Not exactly a voice. Voiceless pair, but so let's put this here. For randomness' sake, I think that's all. Did I miss anything? I think the only stuff that we added during word making was a couple more vowels, is that correct? Or, yeah,
I think that's correct.
okay. So, those of you who, actually, first off, vote diacritics or separate symbols. All in favor of diacritics? All in favor of separate symbols? That's a majority. Okay. You who were not here last time, all of you physically get up and add a symbol. Were you here last time, Ian? That means get up and add a symbol. Or add a few different choices for a symbol that we can wean off, whatever. You don't have to wait for each other, just have to shove each other out of the way, pretend there's candy. That's a Weezer concert, or what's hip nowadays? Weezer is out.
I'm trying to think of one of Well, we have all these
Yeah.
other ones that we can mistake for.
That's true. You want to add more? Feel free. You're Stas?
Me,
Or who's-
William.
You're William.
Yes.
Who's Stas? Stas isn't here. Who are you?
Daniel.
You're Daniel? Oh, yeah, that's right.
I came in late, so I didn't sign in.
No, I'm looking at
Oh.
those. I mean, who's on the, never mind. Daniel, wait,
Excuse me.
sorry, I'm thinking it's Twipson.
It's fine, I don't
What the
care.
hell is your normal name?
I got food mark. Christopher.
That's
It's
a
not
very
good.
long name. Guess what?
Before when she went up to the board and wrote
Huh?
down the second set of symbols, there was like an H thing.
An H-looking thing.
Yeah.
That?
Oh, that's the T with the long S thing.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
is it
Oh, okay.
T,
that's,
Ash, African,
the
yeah.
long S is called H. And that's how it's pronounced. Sh. Okay. It doesn't drop out of symbol. Do you remember this?
No, I don't.
Were you here last time?
No.
Okay, well,
That's the first time, though.
what's your name?
Mark.
Oh, this is the, oh yeah, there's Mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have some chalk. Don't eat it, I hear it's not good for
Could I get a little bit of help?
you. Sure, ask for help, call an audience member.
What are we doing?
Poll the audience,
We're
We're-
making up an alphabet, or
Yeah.
we're adding to the alphabet.
call a friend.
So we sort of like the sound symbols we did the first week and changing the letters.
Yeah, we're coming
Yeah.
up with a.
So pick an IPA symbol that's up there that doesn't have a goodness one.
See those weird symbols?
These
Those are
Oh,
words.
they're on the right,
Okay.
On the left.
So,
we're.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
and
So what you see here, these are phonemes, and these are orthographic.
those are the symbols for the alphabet.
Yeah.
Okay.
We still need one.
Examples of writing on the far left. With some annotations.
Okay. Let's see.
He's not running and screaming yet, so that's pretty good sign.
Is this something, or is this just?
Yes, that's a circle.
Okay.
That's-
This one doesn't have one?
Yep.
What is this sound?
So,
But
It sort of reminds me of, I guess, some sort of a,
If you can, try to make one that doesn't require picking up the pen,
okay.
so as not to break that. Or we could have like one ultra special symbol where you actually deign to pick up the pen. Maybe.
well, that could be the bilabial click if that's your projection.
I just thought it sort of sounded like a G type thing, except it's kind of
That
a,
can be, yeah.
which one?
See the bottom left one?
Okay,
The bilabial click slash.
okay.
And remember, they're all flippable on vertical axis, not horizontal.
Okay.
Is that just for semantic purposes?
Yeah, and for ease of writing.
How about this?
Is that similar to anything?
If you can flip the low vowel,
If you flip the low vowel,
and
except,
attach it to it.
except that one,
it will also be quicker.
except that one won't, that one won't have the loop in the center. The lower vowel does. Right,
Oh, that's right.
it's backwards 3, not backwards 3.
The bottom part could be too.
That's true. What if you cut that part out and just make it a,
Just 3?
yeah. That'll work, right? Is that confusable with anything?
As long as you're correct about how you write it, you don't get that loop in there.
Yep.
Right.
Okay, anyone want to add a final one?
We have the extra symbol sitting there on the side.
I think that's an alternative.
Yeah.
How about, what's that, Georgian?
Wow.
Okay, so, yeah, it's possible. We've got a pretty big difference between some of the basic symbols in complexity and some of the other ones, like that last one. Do you guys think this is a problem? No? Doesn't have to. Votes, this is a problem? Votes, okay, we have some really complex and really simple. Okay.
Well, we can decide from here to use a lot more of the phonemes that we have a sample symbol for.
Sure. Or you could somehow integrate that and say that you could make it some sort of morphological change, where you change k into k, and this symbolizes some sort of special status, which which merits writing it somewhat more complicatedly. Maybe, for example, it's honorific or something like that. You know, like Japanese, the longer your sentence, the more honorable it will be. It's true. You gotta leave?
No, I just remember I had to call when I got
Okay.
here.
Have fun. Desires to modify the letters so far? I think the ch is a potential confound, actually, between a low vowel plus R. But the other version isn't. Fine, so long as we can't have. Oh, actually, no. The second might be confounded with a. Right.
Mm.
So how could we avoid that? Perhaps by having an extra up.
They can flip but not rotate, or they can rotate?
They
but
can
not?
flip on vertical axis,
Okay.
which wouldn't matter in this case. So the problem is with the hit, it's this, and then you have to go somewhere with this, or you're going whatever, and that would be too like that. But if it's, then it's okay, right? So, okay, we've got that abandoned one. That's okay, I guess. That's probably going to get simplified to that in fast writing. All right. Is that confusable with anything?
It could be a low vowel if the simplification is taken very, very far.
I think that's okay. So this.
I was going for a bit
versus-
more angularness there, but you're right, it will probably be rounded out.
Yeah. Or
Fast
you
writing.
could, you could elongate it somewhat,
Oh, that's good.
like that. That should be fine. For that versus blip. Versus, yeah, this could actually be really confused. So you could that or that, or some other variant of your original. I'll go.
I like it actually when you elongated it to make the distinction.
What is your name again?
Heather.
Heather. I've only asked you, what, 3 times today?
Well, it's all right. I missed last class due to sickness, so it's not like I was constantly here.
That was his name too, he was here, right? Daniel, right?
Mhm.
So you got it this time. Okay, what else? That's an interesting one. Is it any possible confounds? Followed by, is there anything I can follow this with that would screw it up? Not really? No, so that's probably okay. And any comments on the cup? It's just the oddball, which is fine. It's similar to the ch, somewhat. So
Yeah.
this part is just a lead in, so then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then out. And you've got this extra bit.
No, it doesn't have to be that.
So just that.
Could be.
So then you could rewrite it as.
Well, it should go down again. But it doesn't have to have the code.
But it will do that anyway.
Yeah.
That's implicit.
From
Of course, yeah, I guess so.
what if we make it somewhat more curvy?
Yeah,
Or some sort of stylistic difference, or decreasing, something to make it more interesting. Because we've got a V and a W and a double W.
It could be like a rounded W instead of an angular one.
Yeah.
Like a rounded W instead of an angular one.
Like that?
Or more like this. Yeah.
Okay.
On the other side.
So then, well, the distinction between ka and ksha is spikedness, right? Or like, in
Yeah.
English. Sure. Very simple.
Fine. I drew it curly, well not curly, but curved, so fine by me.
Okay. And both the and the ch are pointed. Okay. So now is there anything we can write? Do you remember Will? You can just talk.
It's gonna, is that gonna be a problem, like confusing the two things? Or just gonna have a red? It's like when you're lazy, you sort of make things more rounded than they should be.
Let's see.
We could add an extra bold one.
The way that ka originally was.
That's we versus you in English. But no, we don't have to write in English. How would you suggest?
I guess it'd be fine, like, 'cause I don't know. I guess I don't imagine us writing essays in this, so we should probably be pretty good at,
Well, nevertheless, it should be aesthetically pleasing. So, what would you suggest?
what was the problem with the other one with the curl on the end, on the bottom?
Which one?
The first one, the first cute looking thing. I'm sorry, the one at the top on the set, the
So
right
it was
column.
originally.
Yeah.
Oh, the one that he originally wrote.
Yeah.
There wasn't a problem with it, just pointing out that it included the lead-in and the lead-outs, and as such, that's more like what it actually was, or the double W was more like what it actually was. If you took that out of it, well, the WW plus the hook. So just making them all in their sort of default forms for the interest.
Lift that the way it originally was, so it's not that elevated.
Yeah, we could. We can't do vertical flips, so yeah, that's, what do you think, Chris?
Yeah, fine.
It would still have a lead in, right? So how would that affect it? We'd have a lead in on the top,
Do more like in English lowercase n.
so. you're
Well,
going-
this one has kind of a lead out from the bottom, so trade off.
You're going like this, and then you can go like that, or that looks vaguely Tolkienish.
It looks a lot like an Elvish letter,
Like what?
like an Elvish letter.
Yeah. I think it might be, but I'm not sure.
I
I'm sure one of you guys knows.
I used to know the alphabet, I forget now though.
It could. What else?
Yes.
What?
Well, it's good.
Which?
The one, two you just read.
Either?
Oh, yeah.
Identical?
Well, depending.
It will probably end up looking like the left one since that's more like sloppy fast and the other one with all the points. Maybe not. So but if you make it pointer like that, then that gets confused with the ch. So you just make sure you have the loops.
Yeah, it does.
So like the first way.
So like that. If it's here.
I guess.
I have a question, maybe it's kind of piddly one, but how are we going to do word wraps? Because unless we're gonna have one really long strip of paper to do all our writing on, which I don't know what the assumption was, but,
I don't either.
okay. I was just wondering if something you come up with last class for that. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
A cultural question, do they have just scrolls? Or it's just, do you keep scrolling? Do you word wrap in terms of
Probably consider how we end sentence.
definition?
We should also probably consider how we end sentences as opposed to
Certainly.
words.
How would you suggest?
I would actually suggest starting a new line for that, a new, picking up the instrument and starting a new drawing
Okay.
for the new sentence.
We could take off on her idea also, or then do something fancier.
That's true.
What if we have a particle that means end sentence?
Yeah, you can call,
Like wherever we have a
make
bilabial
that
trill,
a
for
problem.
example, that means the sentence is over.
wait, say that again?
Like wherever we have a bilabial trill, for example, that means the sentence is over.
Oh,
It wouldn't have to be that, but as an example.
that would be very unusual unless it carried more semantics meaning than just the sentence is over.
Mm.
Like some sort of indication of what the sentence was about,
Well, there could be a different
kind of
one.
question
Yeah,
the
a
sentence
different one
was.
for a different kind of sentence.
Sure, that can be done. But then it won't be one particular character, right?
Mm.
And although you can have like multiple characters referencing multiple names both ways, like you can have that as some sort of flourish at the end of a sentence.
So would that be just a regular, like, with the regular in the sense, like, are we gonna do differentiation between like a question or exclamation or something like that?
We decided is an exclamation sort of thing. I don't think we decided on question at all. So. Answer your question? Do you have your question?
I don't know, I'm just wondering. I think it'd be kind of neat if we had maybe like, a fancier one, like you wrote the first one, maybe not that extreme, but like,
that?
well, it seems like, well, I don't know about this language.
Well, you
but
can have this a double one.
I don't know about this language, but it seems in English that a period is something we use more often, so it should be easier to draw.
True.
And when you are in a special instance of having a question, you might want something a little bit fancier. I don't know.
Sure. You can do that, or for that matter, we don't have to necessarily break out sentences. I know it's traditional. But we can. I don't have anything against it, so. What would you suggest? How would you have a regular period in a question? Or other sentence boundaries?
I don't see any reason why it can't just be at the end. I mean, it seems kind of boring, but
Sorry?
why it can't just be at the end of this, at the end of the idea that you're doing.
Sure, but what would you do at the end of that? These things that I just drew? Some visible?
Did we decide we're not doing breaks for words?
The simple break is a break for all.
So why don't we use breaks for ending sentences?
You could do that. Okay. Votes for using a break for ending a sentence versus votes for using some sort of swirly character thingy for ending a sentence, which is not necessarily, they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. So, break. That's majority.
Sorry.
So then would you restart the next sentence next to it or just continue down?
Either. Right? So then the other question is, how do you hyphenate, as it were? You can just have it continue down, like the,
Yeah.
whatever. Or you can have some sort of termination.
This is for when we don't finish the sentence, but we don't have any more room.
Yeah, basically. So here you've got and this was that.
At the bottom of the page, that means the sentence continues over here.
You can like figure eight it the other way, so you kind of have like an upside down teardrop looking thing. Kind of like the other sentence, and then actually I don't know if I draw it. Okay, well essentially you have that, and then just sort of that kind of thing. It would be like seal if you said, well, you make it like longer, so more like.
Like a teardrop?
So it's like the figure eight, except turn the other direction, so half of it would be at the bottom, the other half at the top, so you know, it kind of goes together.
Like that?
Something like that. I don't know. Except more, yeah, that doesn't really connect well. Yeah, which is
That one is
half of
cool.
it, and then you have the other half on the top
So-
of the next line.
That. That.
That could work.
I don't understand
Just
why that's necessary.
It's an aesthetic question.
What?
It's an aesthetic question. It's,
Oh,
It's
can you
not-
just like not have it, or do you have to have
well, that's what we're deciding now.
it?
What do you prefer?
I think it's unnecessary.
Would you prefer to just?
I just think it's like
Straight line?
self-explanatory that it goes to the, and if there is a break, then maybe you can start like a little space down or something.
What directions that left or right direction?
If it's possible to break for the next line over, though, we should probably have a symbol of some kind at the end of a sentence to differentiate it.
I mean, if there is a break, maybe you can just start like a space down or something.
But if we have a symbol at the break at the end of the sentence is sort of a termination of the character, and none of some of these characters do terminate with a downward, but most of them don't, actually.
Oh, okay.
Right? Or we can just say they have a final form of some sort, and like they all loop back up or something. So instead of the being that, its final form is that. Something like that. Or whatever. So it's clear that you're not just going down further and just chopping it off here, doing that, but that it's terminated. And that can be the difference.
That makes sense.
Confused?
I don't really agree with that either, because then
Then
the
voice
W
your
and
disagreement. Come on.
the W looking thing and the M looking thing would look too similar if you brought it up. Is it?
How so?
Wait, so you're gonna go up at the end of at the break? You're gonna bring it back up?
No, that was, you need to distinguish, I think, okay, let's reset. Votes for hyphenating a sentence just by a straight line down and a straight line continuing versus some sort of mark and mark continuing. Votes for just a straight line. That's a majority. Okay, so then we need to differentiate just a straight line down as a continuing thing versus a straight line down as the end of a th or a ka or
Maybe it's a length thing, it's contextual.
Could be. Do any of them start from the top, for that matter? Sort of.
Oh,
Yeah, some of them do start from the top. And some, so yeah, it could be a length thing that you're supposed to know.
it's just if it's longer than the
Could
bottom,
be some
the
sort of-
final stroke of any, yeah. Actually, that makes sense.
It should have to be at least
Close.
as long as a letter. The,
Yeah, could do that. For a terminal. So what about this instead? So any letter that has has a downward terminus, if it's at the end of the sentence, you just add a little squiggle. It's my
Forget
idea.
a line,
What?
not sentence, but line, because we said we're gonna have a line, where we're gonna have a discontinuity. This was just for hyphenation, right?
Yeah, but either, really. So either the hyphenation needs to be somehow demarked, or the sentence terminal downwards need to be somehow demarked, one or the other. Or it can be confusing. That's an option. What do you think?
If we just run out of paper, we can just stop and start over on the next one without marking anything, because we'll know that it connects.
Yeah, the stop and start over is just a line down in the line, continue, right?
What do you mean?
If you run out of paper, so blah, blah. So that's a line down, blah. Right.
I thought we weren't gonna denote the sentence, like hyphenation, or were we going to?
Well, it's not denoted, it's,
Well, if you're like extending it down, then you're saying that,
it's not denoted so much as there's like, you continue here, but you ran out of paper.
well, if we have a marking for the end of the sentence, which is what that is, right? Or is that what
This?
we're going for, yeah?
Yeah, this, I was thinking, would be the end of a sentence for characters that, like th, or ka, or sh, that have part of their character be a continuant line, as opposed to characters like ka and gra, where they don't have a downward continuant line, and there you can just stop there. It's not, whereas th, you can't stop there because it might be a break line. See? Mark?
I think when you just hyphenate the sentence, we can just let the line, like, this is a straight line down and a straight line up. But then
Okay.
when you end a sentence, instead of breaking the line, I think that's for a little symbol. Like maybe a word break, and then the line breaks right after the word break, and that would, because you know we put like the figure 8 between words. At the end of the sentence, just put a figure 8, and then you just break the line. And then the new sentence will start right below that on a new line.
You can do that?
That a sentence boundary is figure 8 and then a discontinuity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just a word break is just the figure 8.
Or a sentence boundary is a figure 8 and discontinuity for those that have a length terminus, or just a discontinuity for those that don't. That works. Votes on adopting that? Yes? No? Sorry. Okay, that solves that. Any other unsolved mysteries of this?
are you still set on not lifting the pen up?
Not completely, but.
Because I mean, if it's gonna continue on, maybe like you could just move over and start another line. Like you don't even need a symbol, but at the end of a sentence, you would just that would be when you would lift your pen up and you
Like
could
if you
draw it.
have more, if you clearly have more space and you could have continued, and you move one
Well, I was
line.
thinking, I mean, at the end of a sentence, you could just like that's when you can lift your pen up and draw, say like I don't know, like a horizontal line underneath like the letter.
You could.
But I mean, if it's just gonna be a break, then just continue on. without marking anything.
So you'd have it like, like that, as opposed to that.
You're proposing that that would be the end of the sentence, that symbol?
That's the end of the sentence for this, as opposed to, if it were something. That, in which case it doesn't really get it, because it doesn't have this, it doesn't have this part. So that's not confusing.
So that thing you just drew is if we just ran out of paper, right? We just stopped it.
Well, either, no, these two are both sentence terminals. If you run out of paper or run to the edge of the paper, then this.
I mean, but wouldn't it be obvious that you're running out of room, which is why you can't continue it?
Well, the sentence might end at the end of the paper.
Okay. That's why I said the horizontal line.
Yeah, no, that's another possibility. What do you guys think of a horizontal line? Votes in favor?
Well, that's like the same thing as just attaching a figure eight, right?
Yeah, it's just a break. Yeah. Okay, line versus 8. Line. 8. Sorry. Yes? Did you have a comment?
No, I'm just voting.
Okay. I thought you had a comment. Okay, I think that solves that. Is there anything else that
Which one did we
we can
adopt?
say?
Line
we're
or
not
eight?
right? What?
Which one did we adopt? Line or 8?
8.
Separate.
So this is the margin of the paper. That's a sentence boundary, that's a sentence boundary.
Wait, that first is the sentence boundary?
Yeah.
Or what?
I think he's saying because it doesn't continue directly downwards.
Oh, so those are for the letters that don't
Yeah.
have a line coming down?
Yeah, that doesn't have a line coming down, so it's not confusing. Whereas if that continued, then it would be different, that. But that's not part of the default letter, so it's not
So
really.
just like attaching a triangle to the end of where the letter ends?
That's
That's
okay.
Oh, that's an upside down K though, look at this.
So then, for example, is the click
that
and
one
trill
goes
where at
right
the end of the
in.
sentence, how would you mark that?
What?
The click trill thing at the very bottom. So if that were the last letter, how would you signify that it's the end of the sentence? What is that? That's just the letter without anything.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't have a
It
continuation.
doesn't continue.
Okay.
Whereas if it continued, you would have to go, etc., but this crossed the boundary of the paper.
So then why are we extending the other ones instead of just leaving the letter as it is?
Sorry?
So it's not
We are.
the theta.
The theta, yeah.
So is,
That is the letter as it is. Right?
okay, so you're just exaggerating the line over there.
Okay, so there's two things here. That's the theta not running out of space. It runs into the boundary of the page or whatever. This is the theta not just running out of space but actually
So that link in the theta is not longer than what's written down there, right? Because it looks like to me like you made the bottom part of the theta like really long.
That's just,
So you wouldn't do that, it's just
That's just
so it's the same thing as the other letters, right? You can just
Yeah.
stop it?
well, the bottom line is part of the theta.
Yeah, okay. I get
It doesn't have to be that long. It's just styles.
How do we do the letters, how do we hyphenate the letters that don't have like a comma? We just add a line?
You draw them as if you were continuing to another line.
Okay.
So you added down the word. You added down the word as if you were continuing.
Okay.
I would imagine that most people's handwriting would be slightly different on the matter.
Sorry?
I would imagine that most people's handwriting would be slightly different on a matter of how they decide to connect their letters. Kind of like some people's normal handwriting.
Yeah. For those of you not going off the plane yet, have fun. There's a quinting class right after this one.
Okay.
Sorry, now. They also so we've got word boundaries, sentence boundaries, we've got a one-to-one correspondence of symbols to phonemes, which, by the way, is rather unusual. If you take a look at English, or hell, even Japanese, which is pretty regular, has some exceptions. Not very many. Russian claims not to have exceptions, but actually does. At least there's someone like me. Is there anything else that we're missing from having this be a viable, if perhaps not fully developed, writing system? Anything?
We may want more in the way of punctuation.
Okay, like what?
For example, things that would work as commas. I don't know if our language necessarily needs them because we have
Commas?
commas, yeah. If we have, because we haven't really gotten that far into the allowable sentence structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We'd need to know more about the syntax before we could talk
right.
about
Well,
additional punctuation.
we can constrain the possible syntases. Syntases?
All about syntheses.
By
We're allowed to
whether
make
we
up
decide
languages.
on whether they
I
have
know.
commas or not.
By the way, I've invoked, I'm a linguistics major at Cal, so if I say it's a word, it's a word. Too many times. So syntheses is okay.
Sounds like a viable word to me.
Yes.
My
I thought
English
this was
speaker's
all about
intuition
what
says
the
okay.
language community is using.
And we're part of the language community.
Damn straight.
Language innovation is the only way to go.
Yeah.
Right here.
I am a native English speaker, therefore I get to screw with English as much as I want.
Absolutely.
Ain't it cool, yo? I'd be down with that. Did you want to say something or no?
No.
Okay. You look anticipatory. Okay. Anything else? Numbers? Other symbols?
Actually, I have a question.
Sorry?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So if you were running out of, you were reaching a margin on this one, so you propose that you would just extend this?
You would extend that until it reaches the margin,
Right.
at which point you can't write it.
How about this one?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Exactly.
the only difference would be, like, this is curved. There wouldn't be any, like, confusion with that.
Well, that was something we brought up earlier.
V and W are the same in English after all.
Yeah, the same.
The hell is the difference, Chris?
What?
What is the difference between the two?
Well, originally, the club had an extra hump.
Oh, yeah. Do we want to add that back in?
No,
It had
just-
3
it
humps.
just did it.
Oh,
It was like an M with an extra hump. No? Yeah.
There you go.
You're gonna draw the line down to the paper to signify, or that you came to the end of the margin.
uh-huh.
Maybe we should start that line from, like, the bottommost point of the letter.
Well, yeah, the idea of the line thing is just pretend you're continuing to write. So if I ignore this paper boundary, right, and I have this, something like that, but there's this paper boundary, so you just cut it off right there. And like cut and paste this. Upwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Are we actually drawing the line off paper, because that would be kind of messy.
No, you don't have to. Presumably, you can just continue it and
Stop as best as you
actually,
can.
whatever.
if you want to be formal about it, I suppose. And if you're just writing, you don't have to bother, as long as it's obvious. So how are we supposed to distinguish these two again?
Well, are we having the Q have 3 humps?
I don't know.
Well,
What are we? 3 humps or 2 humps? How many humps do you want?
It's gonna be ambiguous with 2 humps,
We might as well leave it as.
Well, there might be other ways to disambiguate it. Like curve versus pointy.
yeah, what happened to that?
the only thing is that in fast driving, they don't become ambiguous.
That's okay.
But,
They're different
but
enough
you
sounds.
don't become
Might have a-
fast.
We might not have a minimal pair of those two.
That's also true. Possible. But I think it could occur. Like at the end of a CBC, as they code it. Possible. Touch. It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
I think curve versus pointy is probably the simplest. That and actually this is pointy, curve, pointy, curve. Right? Like a heart. Whereas ch is pointy, 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 pointy. So, yeah. Which is actually true. So, anything further with this? Or should we put it aside for now? Votes put aside? Okay. Next thing to do then is the Babel text. My computer just shut down, so I'm going to turn it back on. We've got
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Yay for having a huge clock tower right outside the door. The window, rather. There's no clock in this room.
There are no clocks in most of the classrooms in this campus, I didn't realize.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
They can't spend
2006,
money on-
guys.
They can't spend money on a clock to remind us how we're yoked to the system.
They're too busy giving us wireless internet access instead. Personally, I'm down for that trade.
Genesis 11, verse 1. King James, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Now, this is probably the first sentence you're going to be translating for your projects. And somehow this became what the hell? Yeah, you two are hiding, that's why. Stop.
This was the only seat available.
Well, that's why you move seats. I don't like lectures. Great. Let's see. I'm gonna have to arrange the seats next time. Yes. So, like you mentioned in the first class, Heather,
Mm-hmm.
what's your name?
Dina.
You got it?
Dina.
Dina. Daniel, William, Yoon, Clipson, Christopher. What's yours? Mark. Oh yeah, you're Mark too. That's right. Okay. Yeah. So, like Heather mentioned the first time, or alluded to, we're not really translating this stuff word for word, because then it'd be a translation of a translation of a translation, more or less, of an interpretation. But the idea is to translate the story. So this sort of gets to the idea of what is language, what's the point of language, and nice deep stuff like that. And the point of the Bible, I'm not a Christian, so I'm not doing any religious preaching here, but the point of the Bible, as with any text, is to communicate a message, as with any speech act, like the one I'm doing
I had an ASL interpreter standing next to me, they would, I can't do it that fast, but they would be signing something sort of similar to what I'm saying, but they wouldn't be doing a word for word def for sure. And they may well be using different words, even, depending on how good they are and how good I am.
Is an interpretation meant to get the meaning across, but not the literal transliteration?
So, that invokes a bunch of different things. For one, the most obvious is cultural meanings of religious words. What if the culture you're writing this language for does not have a concept of God, period? What if it has a polytheistic concept? What if it's got a omnipresent, a true omnipresent God, as opposed to the Christian God who is supposedly omnipresent and omniscient, but somehow he comes down to Babel and talks to other people and says, hey, let's do something. Let's, incidentally, is a future tense of we intend to do something sometime later, which is not something that an entity existing outside of time would say. For that matter, an entity existing outside of time probably does not talk to anything. Or, for that matter, an entity that is omnipresent or omnipotent probably is not going to have any need to talk to other entities. But you can say that they're using some sort of metaphor here, metamorphizing God so that they can tell a story and use a parable and all that. That's fine. You can interpret it that way too. So, with that in mind, how about coming up with some alternate ways of conveying that first sentence, and not that first sentence, but that first idea, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Think of the words that are involved there, think of what they invoke for you, and culturally, what do those bring up? And think of different ways you can look at that, from a different culture, from a different use of words, etc. Okay? Go first.
I would say it's a story that happened in the past, so there's kind of a long, long ago aspect to it that perhaps should be marked in language.
True.
That there is a storytelling, that there's a discourse marker that says, long ago, some stuff happened.
And every language that I've seen has something different. Like English is once upon a time. Japanese is hanashi banashi, which is a fairy tale said, something like that. Hanashi is speech. It's confusing. I don't know any others offhand. Do you? Do you know how it starts in Hebrew? If you're telling a story?
I don't think there's a regular phrase
No?
used.
There might not be.
Yeah, I can think
So
of
this
it.
guy
Walks into a bar.
So this guy walked into a tower, or into a city, walked under a city, walked over a city, flew into a tower. Anyway, Yoon, what do you think? What would be a different interpretation? Or some aspect of the interpretation that's cultural?
Maybe at the time that it was written, they said one language, one speech. Maybe they're just considering like those who spoke their language, so kind of in like a, turning their nose up at like other cultures.
One real language.
Right.
Yeah. For that matter, it's argued whether the Bible thing, does that count? What does that count as one language? Do dialects count? Do they have dialects at the time? Stuff like that. So, yeah, you could say the whole earth, well, so that either indexes one language, one speech, or the whole earth. The whole earth, as far as we're concerned.
Right.
That is. The whole earth that matters, not those other plebs. There's dirt, scenery and stuff.
if this is in Genesis, couldn't it mean like, he just gave everyone the power of like rational speech, like maybe less literally than everyone's sitting down and talking English or whatever?
Robert?
Well, if it says and everyone was of one speech, couldn't you read it as just everyone had all of a sudden had the human power to communicate with each other? Like they were able to speak pretty much, like
Yeah.
generally.
In the Genesis 11, this is a sort of a precondition to the rest of the story. It's not, this is where they were granted the speech that's earlier.
Okay.
But
So it does mean that they're all speaking the same language?
that was the idea in the normal interpretation, yeah. At that point where the story begins, everyone's talking the same language.
Okay.
And then they get up to the end, they stop. Because God gets pissed. Basically. How would you reinterpret that under some other culture, under some other theological
Well, it's kind of hard because if you're reading it, as a member of a culture that doesn't have any God at all, and that doesn't say have any concept of,
Divinity.
yeah, like,
then it's going to need some major reworking.
that's not translating though, because the idea of the text is not going to be, it's not going to be
We're not-
transferred.
Okay, let me put it this way. We're not so much translating in this instance as creating an equivalent story for yours. Because that's a more interesting task. You could translate and say, in this culture, we're trying to tell these other people's story, and we're translating that so people in our culture can understand their story.
Yeah.
That's a task, and you can do that and people do that. But I'm gonna ask you to do something that's native to the culture. And so that means that, in a sense, you could call it, it's their version of the story,
Okay.
and therefore applicable to theirs. So everybody has a creation story of how did the world come to be. Sort of like that, except I'd like it to be more or less the same, a recognizable story just for that culture. You see what I mean?
How could it be recognizable if we choose to have, I'm not doing the project person, if we choose to have the culture be not religious?
Then you'd still want to have that language dispersion aspect to it. And you could replace the forces that make it happen with some other forces. It
Just like in
automatically came to be. It's a law of nature that when humans get uppity, things happen. There are some wacky turn of events. I don't know.
It's okay.
Be imaginative. Be imaginative. Christopher, what do you think?
I don't have any ideas of blinding creativity floating around my mind.
How about less than blinding? I like my side.
Well,
Definitely.
I don't know.
What's the word for smell?
What's the word?
Pardon?
Olfactory.
You've got blinding, deafening.
Stenching.
Anosmosizing?
Melodious?
Because anosmia is the inability to smell. So to anosmosize
Nice.
would be
I'd
to
never heard that
render
before. Add something to your lexicon every day.
Yes. From a plus nos.
Yeah.
Right, right.
I like that. Taste, touch.
Taste is gustus of like agustatize?
It starts sounding like an anesthetic.
Which is
touch.
Touch, yeah.
Okay, so nothing at the moment. David, was it?
Yeah.
Dan.
I was in the middle of thinking, I don't have anything.
Not thinking. Okay, well, think now.
Well, my one idea was if this was a culture that doesn't know there are other cultures, but then they couldn't have a story about how language got dispersed because they wouldn't recognize.
Okay, but let's assume that they do have that concept, because otherwise the story is impossible.
That's why I wasn't going to do that idea.
So, it doesn't necessarily have to have current contact with other cultures. Like this could be some long, long ago, they got uppity, they broke up into a bunch of languages, then the one true language survived, namely us.
It could.
And the rest of them got killed off in the slaughter or the bombs or whatever. And then, we're the one language. Yeehaw. Let's build a tower to celebrate our victory.
Sweet.
It could be like a linguistic Noah story.
Yeah.
Like they are the culture that
Of course.
theirs is the one language that survived after all the others.
Certainly. You can extend that and sort of try to weave in little the stuff that they do in movies for
Flashbacks?
foreshadowing.
There we go.
Foreshadowing into the rest of the story. What do you think? What's your name again?
Dina?
Dina. It takes about a dozen repetitions for me to remember, so don't take offense. Dina, yeah, what do you think?
I just thought of it as like before, I guess before different languages were created, maybe like there was only like a small number of people and they were just communicating with each other. This is before like
Okay. So this
people
is
spread out.
back when the world consisted of one little tribe.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a bunch of Conlangers that did it.
Huh?
Conlangers.
Slavic.
Or like someone trying to overthrow the king and themselves at the same time. Some insane Conlangers did it. Which if you read certain books, you'll get the idea that all of us are. Ursula comes to mind. What do you think of it? Either about
We
that
are still
sentence or the whole.
we are still deciding on like the cultural setting for this, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is musing both sort of for your own sakes, because I presume that your languages are going to have some sort of cultural connotations, and also for
Right.
the one that we're doing in class.
Personally, I like to have some concept of divinity in most cultures, just because it lends some way that for them to discuss the mysterious.
Sure.
So it's hard for me to conceive of one that doesn't have some kind of mystical something in the background. But if it were just a bunch of insane conlanders, it could be that they just one day decided they didn't like each other's languages, and so they're all like, well fine, I'm gonna go make my own, and I'm gonna start my whole tribe, so take that.
Wow.
People get into hissy fits over the smallest things, you know? So.
No, that reminds me of some of the old flame wars on certain lists. I'll just exponentiate that and add some guns, and there you go.
There you go.
Compare some to Hitler.
Swords. Yeah, got them. Okay. The other thing is, of course, is your God unitary or universal? Unitary, universal? Dualist? Like the father and the mother?
They don't
the father and the
necessarily-
father? The mother and the mother? The it and the it?
They don't
The
necessarily
father.
have to be anthropomorphized.
The
Anthropomorphized.
father and his dog? I don't know. Mother and child?
The dog and the cat.
Yeah, there's. I'm sure you can come up with all sorts of wacky.
Well, it could even be a six-legged cat or something. I mean,
Yeah, whatever. And that's obviously part of your con culture, which is more Mark's thing. He's not here. Okay, so I want you guys to try to, by next week, have your phonology, phonotactics done in the same sort of thing that we've done already in the first week. Try to have some sort of orthography figured out, and definitely start thinking how you're going to translate some of the concepts that are inherent in the Babel text and specifically in the first 2 or 3 lines of it. What words does it invoke? What concepts do those invoke, etc. If you say he, you've got gender. If you say move, you've got the concept of movement, and therefore a being that's capable of moving from point A to point B. If you say married, you've got this huge social thing that it's indexing that may be totally unrecognizably different, or maybe some bare semblance to what we would recognize, and that plays out in all sorts of ways. Whenever you look at any sentence, you should be able to be looking at that and say, this word indexes this idea might be totally differently implemented or not existent or have a vague analog in some other culture. I want you to make sure you recognize that. Okay? If you do get something that you want to post, that you want to discuss or anything, do it online. If you're not already signed up for the class, according to the roster that I put already, or you don't want to be signed up for 2 units, you need to talk to me right now. Okay? Any other questions?
Was there a sign-in sheet on this?
What?
Was there a sign-in sheet for today's class?
Yes,
Okay.
was sign in if you haven't. Ta-ta. Ta-ta.